Hello, BookTube. I have a tiny bit of mail for you today. I've been naughty when it comes to mail. I've been opening stuff that I shouldn't open. But I caught myself, partially caught myself, so I thought we'd look at a couple of periodicals and a couple of books. One of the periodicals is The New Yorker, and this is has a cover by R. Kikyo Johnson that is great. This is called Upstairs, Downstairs. That is a great New Yorker cover. It's not funny, but the best New Yorker covers aren't just explicitly funny. They're actually making a point. And this is making a point, and it's wonderful. This is New York City, for those of you who are not familiar with America. And here we have a woman with a plant in her bag, hailing a taxi, while another woman is lugging her stroller with her child in it down to the subway. And she also has a plant with a leaf that's fallen off there. They both come from market, but one has to take the subway, and one is hailing a cab in the bright sunlight. That is wonderful. The composition here, but the thought behind it as well, is just wonderful. There's no explicit judgment. There's no explicit hatred one way or another, but it is a snapshot. And New Yorker covers are different from New Yorker cartoons in that they tend to be this way. They tend to be snapshots of one way or another. Sometimes they're explicitly funny, but usually they're more like this. This is the best New Yorker cover I've seen this year so far. So I've got that to show you. I don't mean to talk about the issue because I just got it. I haven't read it, and I will not only talk about it. I will write about it on my revived literary blog, Steve Reads. I have a great deal of fun doing that on Steve Reads. For years and years, I had a blog on Blogspot called Steve Reads, where I wrote about everything under the sun. Anything that came to me, comic books, new and old, also periodicals of any kind under a heading of what I called In the Penny Press. And when David Murphy convinced me to restart my blog on Substack, well, then I just revived that without any hesitation. I miss doing it. So now I have a venue, a place where I can talk about whatever literary stuff is on my mind. And going through every issue of The New Yorker in 2025, their centenary edition, their centenary year, I haven't done every issue, but I mean to pay them a lot of attention this year because they're 100 years old. But then the other periodical is the TLS, the Times Literary Supplement. And this is of interest for a whole bunch of things. There are a whole bunch of articles that are in here. But we're going to turn straight to the letters page. Those of you who keep up with the breathless psychodrama that is my channel will remember that the last time we looked at the letters page of the TLS, we saw a hateful, loathsome, stupid, ignorant, racist letter. A MAGA letter, in other words. From someone claiming that the American Civil War came about solely as a result of Abraham Lincoln's egotism. That the South had seceded from the Union, and he didn't want them to. And hence the war and all the death that followed. A hateful letter. A MAGA letter. And I didn't write in. I told you at the time when I read you that letter that I would not write in, that I was wanting to wait and see who would write in about that letter. And sure enough, there are two letters so far. One from America, I think, and one from England. And I want to see if more will follow. But I want to read you both of these letters. Neither one is very long. The American one goes like this. It's Alan Sked, that's the writer of that letter, not Brian Holden Reed, who's quite wrong about the causes of the American Civil War. Abraham Lincoln did not win only a plurality in a four-way race. Abraham Lincoln did win only a plurality in a four-way race, but as we were reminded in 2000 and 2016, it's the winner of the Electoral College who becomes president. And after Lincoln won, several southern states announced secession before he'd even took office, despite his imploring them for a compromise. The Southerners' belligerence and paranoia, not any wrongdoing by Lincoln, caused their leaders to commit treason in defense of slavery. No one, let alone, quote, amongst almost all educated Americans, has authority for any right to secede. It had never been done, and the Constitution says nothing on any such right. Nor is Sked correct about who opened hostilities. Lincoln hardly, quote, manipulated the Fort Sumter crisis. He simply refused to cede a federal fort to South Carolina, which responded with an artillery bombardment. Even living in Mississippi, I seldom encounter factually challenged lost cause apologists such as Professor Sked. He faults Lincoln as an egotist with his head swelled by winning an election. Given Sked's recurrent failures to do the same, his peculiar views perhaps have some other explanation. And of course they do. I don't know anything about Professor Sked. I intentionally did not Google him, but he's MAGA. That is self-evident. He is ignorant, he is racist, he is belligerent, he is counterfactual, he is MAGA. But then we have another letter here. This one's from England, correcting on a point of fact. Alan Sked asserts that, quote, almost all educated Americans knew that the South had the right to secede, close quote. In 1832, when South Carolina, resisting federal tariffs, threatened secession, President Jackson undertook to hang anyone who worked for that end. I don't think this is the last that we'll hear of this. The TLS, as I mentioned many times to you before on this channel, likes these kinds of debates. They'll let them go on. The natural next step would be for the MAGA Professor Sked to write in a letter defending himself and then get torn apart by more Civil War experts. And I am going to sit on my hands the whole time. I'm not going to write in, and I'm confident that Bill Rutenberg is not going to write in either. But that letter needed a response, so I'm glad that it got a couple of them. The other explanation that the first letter writer hints at is obvious. There is only one other explanation, and that's that the author is a racist, a slavery apologist, sovereign citizen, whatever that you want to say. But we shall see. I will keep you updated. So that's those are the periodicals. And then the two books, the first one is opened, and it is April. I think this comes out on April 1st. Yeah, this is April 1st. This is a romance novel. This is Love the Duke by Amelia Gray, who I really like. So this is a pleasure for me. This is a modern Regency romance, as you can tell by the fact that his shirt is unbuttoned all the way to his belly button. And in this case, the pub sheet would say the same thing as the back of the book. So we'll just read the back of the book. When the Duke of Hurstbourne receives a letter from his childhood friend asking him to marry his sister Ophelia, Hurst declines. He's not averse to taking a bride, but he believes in love at first sight that stirs his desire, not marriage sight unseen. Adhering to society's strict propriety for ladies, Ophelia Stowe has no choice but to present herself as a man to seek the Duke of Hurstbourne's favor. If not for the dire situation she finds herself in, she wouldn't have asked for help with the handsome man who rebuffed her. When the alluring Duke's response is a plan of his own, Ophelia never dreams it would be a proposal of marriage of convenience. But the stakes are high, and the good name of the Stowe family will be damaged if a missing antiquity isn't found. When she accepts his offer, she quickly finds she isn't immune to the passion building between her and her new husband, or how real the marriage begins to feel. Okay, that threw me for a loop there. What is the fake marriage? The two men getting married? The bit about presenting herself as a man to seek his favor. I guess I'll have to read it to find out. It's April 1st, so that's just a few days away. I think it could go on the pile for tonight. I have a suspicion, just a spidey sense feeling, that the other thing that we're going to look at, the one package that we're going to open, is going to go on the pile for tonight. But we'll see. It's a box. So we'll see. We'll see what this is. It's a box, and it is heavy. So it could be a finished copy, which would be fine by me. That would mean... what have we got here? Oh. Oh. Okay. No, this is not a finished copy. This is a whole bunch of stuff. It's a whole box full of stuff. Okay, so we have lots of volumes here, lots of paperbacks. The first one is Transparencies by Maria Borio, translated from the Italian by Danielle Pirati. Brimming with windows, screens, and high-rise glass, the visceral and surreal English language debut of one of Italy's most prominent younger poets confronts the crises of contemporary lives caught between two worlds, one ancient and abiding, the other rapid, digital, and increasingly diverse. I know nothing about modern Italian poetry. What else we got in here? Well, this is a big thing. What is this? Okay, this next one is called Document, and it's by Emilia Rosselli, translated from the Italian by Roberta Antonini and uh, Deborah Woodward. Document. Nice big thing here. Uh, this is a $24 paperback here. The pivotal 1976 work of one of Italy's most significant post-war voices, which asks how poetry can document lived experience while dialoguing with Petrarchan sonnet tradition. So it is poetry all throughout. It's got blurbs from people I don't know. How interesting. So the publication date on this is 1997, and this I think is 1996. And it looks like this is its first English language translation. I'll have to check on that. Document. Okay, very interesting stuff here. What is all going to be from the Italian? No, this next one's from the Polish. This is Apotheosis of Music by Witold Verbsa. Apotheosis of Music. The first English language collection of this major post-war Polish poet, known for his subversive language, irony, and political satire. The Polish John Ashbery is what one critic calls him. Okay, so this is translated from the Polish by Frank Wygoda, and he did the copyright in 2025. But what is the poem itself? Is this a Eastern European Poets Series number 49? I wonder if that's what this is. Is that just this? Is this whole series just Eastern European poets? But that wouldn't apply to the Italians. No. Okay, all right. This is fascinating. I don't know anything about these authors. That is always wonderful. This next one is The Vitals by Marie de Courtebarbe, translated from the French by Aidan Farrell. So a slim French work. Acclaimed French poet, another debut in English language translation, is an elegiac long poem in the form of a fragmentary journal that tracks the loss of a loved one. This is going to be a lot of fun. The one thing that's missing from this box, an extremely generous box, so I'm not carping. The one thing that's missing is any kind of meta information. I don't know if these things are out already. So somebody decided to fill my day with international poetry, which you're not going to get a complaint out of me. This next one is Apparent Breviary by Gaston Fernandez, translated from the Spanish by K.M. Cascia. Also notice that these things are very well designed. These are nice, sturdy paperbacks. You're paying over $20 for them, but you're getting a nice, sturdy thing. Gaston Fernandez's hallucinatory hermetic collection of 100 psalm-like poems marks the English language debut, again, of this legendary Peruvian writer of the late 20th century. Incredible. This is incredible. I love my job. If I haven't said that already, I love my job. And then this last one here is The Theory of the Voice and Dream by Liliana Ponce, translated from the Spanish by Michael Martin Shea. Theory of the Voice and Dream. Obsessing on the relationship between creation and absence, Argentine poet presents an unsettling meditation on body, language, and self. And one of the critics blurbed on the back says, a bolt of world-opening lightning. Okay, all right. So this one is bilingual. So that's great. I wonder if they all are. Boy, that would be even better. That's a Spanish one. Let's try the French. Oh, they are. There's prose, but I'm sure there might be poetry in there. This Italian thing, these are all bilingual. Amazing. What about the Polish one? Yes. Yes. So these are international poetry in sturdy bilingual paperback editions. How wonderful. Somebody just decided to send me a whole box of these things. Incredible. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know the dates on them, but obviously some of them have to go on the pile for tonight, plus a little romance to spice things up. So there you go. I never know what I'm going to get. So that's it for now. That's just a bit of poetry for you on a mail day, and we'll be back. If I get more mail today, I will try to leave it unopened. I'll try to keep my greasy paws off it. But anyway, I'll wrap this up, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.